is for Boris. Today's show is a four-paper show. We've got The Guardian, The Sun, The Daily Mail, and The Times up for review. Starting with The Guardian today, going to try a speed run through The Sun, and then we will be covering The Times and The Daily Mail as we so often do. I'm, of course, the Broken Bottle Boy, Mick Wright. You can follow me on Twitter at Broken Bottle Boy and on TikTok, where I'm actually going to do some more TikToks soon at Useless Conquest. There is also a Discord. The link for that will be available later in the show. In talking about that, I'm going to share this show link on the Discord. Here, show is live. Don't know why I did that voice. Hard to say. Right, so let's go. I'm going to start with The Guardian, which we don't often start with. I might put my glasses on. Why not, So, front page of The Guardian is mostly dedicated to a big cross-Europe survey that The Guardian has done in collaboration with media groups in Germany, France, Italy, and Spain to ask Generation Z, depending which way you want to say it, about their experiences during the pandemic and what toll that has had on Generation Z. Hey, Studying Fangirl, how you doing? Enjoyed catching a bit of the show yesterday. Hey, Chronotherm, good to see you. Okay, top of the shop above this Generation Z special report. I say a generation feeling betrayed and ready to fight back. We've got Joan Allen on being successful and nice in Hollywood. I don't know who Joan Allen is. Do you know who Joan Allen is?
No idea.
I don't know who that is. And obviously the story of Kevin Collins, Sir Kevin Collins, resigning is on the front page as well. I quit. Shock for PM as schools czar resigns. Hey Chronotherm, hey Studying Fangirl, yo Slinkermeyer, good to see you. And on the right hand side of the page we've got Archives reveal ban on black staff at the Palace. It's a big story online yesterday, and it's made it in print here. Research in the National Archives has found that the royal family's use of the arcane parliamentary procedure known as Queen's Consent, which it used to secretly influence the content of British laws, included getting it itself exempted from rules that made it illegal to refuse to employ an individual on the grounds of race or ethnicity. They were introduced in the 60s, and the Queen is still exempt from those laws. Moving inside the paper, Birmingham boy was racially abused before stabbing, police say. Horrendous. This is Dare John Reed, who was chased and stabbed. 6 people have been arrested in that case. On page 3, a tricky aria. Can the ENO really teach anyone to sing? Sky Arts has announced what its director Phil Edgar Jones called a reverse X Factor after voice coaches at English National Opera claimed they could train anyone to hold a tune. Channels put out a call for Britain's worst singers, saying, "We only want people coming if they cannot sing for toffee." Moving on from there, Education Advisor resigns after saying recovery plan falls far short of need. I've looked at the way this story was covered yesterday in today's newsletter, which also talks about a bear. So for those of you who are predominantly tuned into this stream for the animal content, there's a reason to read the newsletter today. There is a warning about outbreaks of the Delta variant of coronavirus in several schools across Bristol that could signal that coronavirus infection rates in the city are higher than reported. 16-year-olds are getting their longest summer break in a very, very long time, a 100-day summer break. Some parents of children in year 11 voiced concern over 100 days of holiday before the new school year in September, when catching up on learning lost during the COVID pandemic is a national priority. On page 7, PM warns of travel rulings as EU delays opening to Brits. Urban crime, burglary and assaults have fallen in lockdown. That's not surprised, is it? And the rate of robberies fell in London during the first lockdown by 60%, with thefts down 46%. Yeah, well, if no one's going anywhere and everyone's here in their houses, it makes burglary harder and reduces opportunistic robbery chances, doesn't it? Yeah, I think the kids do deserve their 100-day break. Hey, Red Tick Seed, how you doing? Hello, Mark Kenosis. Right, so this special report on Gen Z. We spoke to 16 to 25-year-olds across the continent, most of whom felt betrayed by the way their different societies have reacted to the pandemic and believed this sense of disappointment would change their thinking and behaviour. This is a good solid bit of reporting. I'm not going to dig into it too far, but they talk to a wide range of people in that age range, and it's good solid reporting. But at the end of it, the Spice King, Paul Mason, quite far from Gen Z himself, writes, young people have delivered a critique of capitalism. I think whatever they said, that would be the headline that Paul Mason said. There doesn't seem to be any mention of the word chuggy here, but who knows. On page 14, English councils ban pavement smoking at bars and restaurants. 5 local authorities have banned smoking in pavement pubs, cafes and restaurants, and others are considering following suit before a new push by the government to make England smoke-free in less than a decade. Fine. Happy Days for Festival event inspired by Beckett's secret wedding. 60 years ago, in 1961, Samuel Beckett slipped away to Folkestone to marry his long-time partner, Suzanne de Chevaux de Mesnil, at a secret ceremony. Now, the playwright and novelist Incognito Wedding at the Registry Office in Kent has inspired an immersive multimedia event at the forthcoming Folkestone Book Festival. Major names such as Helen Oyeyemi, Robert Thompson, and Emma McBride writing a series of monologues from the perspectives of those who were there. I like that. The person in the room is a distinctly un-Beckett fan. Un-Beckett fan, yeah. Etsy's bought Depop. I feared for my life, says officer charged with footballer's murder. This is an ongoing case. Ongoing trial, so I can't say too much about this other than this face. Asthma warning as hottest day of the year follows record wet May. Health charities have said Britain's mini heatwave could lead to life-threatening conditions as the country recorded its hottest day of the year for a third day in a row. Northolt and West London reached a national high of 26.6 degrees centigrade at 11:30am yesterday, beating the previous day's high of 26. Ellen Ed Hughes, the head of health advice at Asthma UK, said soaring temperatures combined with high pollen levels can trigger asthma symptoms and could result in life-threatening asthma attacks. Does Mason mention a chrysanthemum? No, he does not. No, he does not. Shankly says, my son is 17. He's to do with subject prep for the next 5 weeks, so potentially staying on for the next academic year. Okay. Mark Kenosis, capitalism is chuggy. On page 18, archives reveal ethnic minorities were banned from royal office roles. This is a good bit of journalism and digging into the archives to further destroy the myth that the royal family doesn't interfere in politics. It does almost constantly. Scotland's wild beavers are at risk, campaigners are going to claim in court. Wildlife campaigners are suing Scotland's Nature Conservation Agency for allowing farmers to kill wild beavers, arguing it's in breach of its duties to protect vulnerable species. This stream is pro-beaver. Passata safe distance. Crash covers A14 in tomato puree. Good headline there. 23-mile stretch of road in East Anglia was left looking like a scene from a horror film after a lorry crash left gallons of tomato puree spilled across the tarmac. The westbound carriage of the A14 from Cambridge to Brampton was closed after the collision between two lorries on Tuesday. Police tweeted. The Bedfordshire, Cambridgeshire and Hertfordshire Roads Policing Unit confirmed that 2 vehicles had been involved. One driver was injured but not seriously. BBC said the driver had been discharged from hospital. Meanwhile, several people made light of the spill, with one tweeting, I went past to that. Took a while for the traffic to catch up. Another joked, and I imagine when it does reopen, cars will have to Passata slow speed. There is the picture of the road covered in tomato sauce. Was it puree when it was in the lorry, or was it whole tomatoes? Mark Kenosis, isn't the palace exempt from all employment law, including stuff like minimum wage? Potentially, yes. Certainly the Houses of Parliament is exempt from pretty much all of the employment protections. On page 20, councils under fire over plans to build new homes on inner city children's play spaces. The continued destruction of public space is just a national disgrace. Chronotherm, smell of tomato puree on hot tarmac would probably be fantastic. Hey, Yuan, how you doing? On page 21, plans drawn up for world's deepest pool in Cornwall. Plans have been submitted to build the world's deepest artificial pool in Cornwall to train astronauts and help advance undersea robotics. Pool will be 50 metres at its deepest point, nearly as deep as Nelson's column is high. Classic newspaper comparison there. The privately funded firm Blue Abyss, is in the process of applying for planning permission for the £150 million project. Courier's claims of exploitation by Hermes have been referred to an MP's committee. I mean, I think it's abundantly clear that these companies exploit their couriers consistently. Maggie Hamblin, the artist who sculpted the naked figure of the prominent 18th century feminist Mary Wollstonecraft, she didn't. The figure was a representative figure. It was not meant to be Mary Wollstonecraft. Has said she was surprised by the criticism it attracted. Speaking on the BBC Today programme yesterday, Hambling said, "What sort of surprised me was the objection to the naked figure, which, as you know, was part of the sculpture of Mary Wollstonecraft. Part of the objection came from feminists. She said the feminists were denying that they have bodies, adding that there has been nude sculpture for time immemorial. Discussing the reactions to sculpture, she said, a lot of people don't want the Eiffel Tower in Paris." Right. Netflix set to is apparently going to start streaming video games. We'll see how that works. In the Journal, Michael Sfard says the latest chapter in the Israel-Palestine conflict unfolded in many locations all at once. In the Gaza Strip, civilian population centres were heavily bombarded by Israeli fighter planes and artillery, bringing death, injuries and massive damage to property. The headline on this piece, white Israeli progressives have started to talk about apartheid. Mark Gnosis says the sculpture was shit. Slinkmeyer says the molasses flood killed a bunch of people though, didn't it? I wonder if it would be like the Great Molasses Flood and in 100 years' time you'll still be able to smell it on hot days. Mark Gnosis liked that the sculpture had pubes. Fair dues. In the leader columns, Gavin Williamson's poultry schools catch-up plan is not even close to being enough. And Beijing is still working to erase the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre, and we must remember its victims. I believe we do. Martin Kettle says, how the Good Food Guide democratised British dining. Oh, shut up. Francis Ryan, who's generally pretty good, says, don't take our lockdown gains away. In the long read, The Trouble with Empty Offices, for decades, anthropologists have been telling us that the informal, unplanned interactions we have at work are often the most important. So what do we lose by giving them up? Was this written by a commercial landlord? No, it was written by Gillian Tett, but it may as well have been. In the G2, I promised Brando I would not touch his Oscar, says Sasheen Little Feather, the Native American woman who was sent to collect, to refuse his Oscar. Adrian Charles says the pain of the post-match press conference, and Keir Starmer is apparently courting the Joy Division dads. Yes, Adrian Charles writes about Naomi Osaka and the fact that he recently fell over. There we go. Jonathan Jones, who I have despised since he wrote a piece slagging off Terry Pratchett without ever having read a Terry Pratchett book, says, echo of the Bunnymen. Keir Starmer's melancholy uni-snap from the 80s reveals a romantic visionary with hidden depths. Fuck off. Right. In the corrections and clarifications, the professional forager interviewed for an article Anywhere for Roadkill is Fergus Drennan, whose surname we misspelled as Brennan on several occasions. A quick crossword clue, mythical Greek leader in the Trojan War, model its allegiances. The clue should have been mythical Trojan hero during the siege by the Greeks. Michael J. Walsh writes, the irony of Boris Johnson's secret Catholic wedding is that the bit of canon law known to church lawyers as tametsi, which requires Catholics, as Johnson once was, to be married before a priest or deacon, was enacted at the Council of Trent in the late 16th century, precisely to prevent clandestine marriages. Mark Knox is definitely right that it's more Bunnymen than Joy Division. It reveals he was a teenager once who engaged in teenage trends. Shocker, says Industrial Pet. Mark Gnosis, the lucrative chameleon uncle demographic. I like the chameleons, but there you go. JoJo season 9, where a liberal columnist was stop socialism by ignoring fascism. Yeah. David Smith says, more outrageous than the Beatles being kept off the #1 spot by Engelbert Humperdinck is that the song which began the whole glam rock phenomenon, Ride a White Swan by T-Rex, was kept off the top of the charts by Clive Dunn's hit Grandad. I hate this shit. The charts have always had an absolute surfeit of shit in them as well as good songs. And being #1 was an arbitrary thing anyway. Mark Gnosis, chameleons are great, but they're avuncular fans. Okay. Discount Goat. So how much does this news impact the folks across the Atlantic? What specific news? Just this news generally? Well, this is news in British newspapers. We will see some world news in here. In the obituaries, Douglas Livingston, actor and writer, hailed for his role in The Fishing Party and his TV adaptation of Day of the Triffids. They've got a thing on the Shed of the Year competition. The front runner is Father Len Black, who turned his shed into a church. But there's also Mark Campbell, who turned a shed into a fairy tale palace for his granddaughter. And an unfolding shed that turns into a backyard bar with karaoke and disco lights. That's in Plymouth. And a creative art studio in Southampton. And a replica Chitty Chitty Bang Bang car built inside a shed in the Isle of Wight. Shed church, shed church, shed church. In the world news, Israeli coalition strikes a deal to oust PM. Analysis from Peter Beaumont says that Isaac Herzog says the new president of Israel, Isaac Herzog, plans to build bridges and is a scion of a prominent family. Escaped elephants are wreaking havoc in China. We are pro-elephant on this stream. Swinton and Jagger call for a new law to protect Venice. It's Tilda Swinton and Mick Jagger. World's largest meat processor has been disrupted by a cyber attack. Chinese vessels have gone dark in suspected illegal raids for squid on the coast of Argentina. Here is a lovely picture of a polar bear cub. No, Tilda Swinton, not Joe Swinson. Dark era. Pakistan's military takes aim at press freedom. In the finance news, Pacific trade nations open door to negotiating entry for Britain. Bizarre. Pillars of strength. Global tax reforms edge nearer as G7 ministers prepare to meet. I'll believe that when I see it. And on the back page, sports news. Better than this. Racist and sexist tweets ruin England debut for Ollie Robinson, whose previous tweets posted between April 2012 and June 2013 were racist and sexist, and he's apologising for them now. They were made 8 years ago. The player is now, how old is he now? 27, so he was 19. Studying fangirl, Herzog has the charisma of a piece of toast, to quote my sister, but on the bright side, fuck Netanyahu. Slenkamaya, meat processor disrupted by cyber attack. Sounds like a horror movie premise. Nice. Mark Kenosis bringing in some Trash Future references here with this squid is highly illegal. So there you go. That is the Guardian, today's Guardian. I don't know, a 0, maybe a 2. I'll give it a 2 for the rampaging elephants and the polar bear. Trash Future don't own Dave Courtney, but if they could, they would. Shankly 07 says Israel news is preferable to Netanyahu, but still not a real solution for the Palestinians. Agreed. Mark Kenosis rates the Guardian minus 15 tons of illegally obtained squid, and Slinkermeyer gives it 1 for rage elements. Rage elephants. Industrial Pet says points for elephants. Discount goes. What about the Fairy Princess Palace? Okay, I'll give it 3 3 points. I revise. Thank you, Discount Goats. You've made me revise my score there on that basis. Right. We now move on to the Sun, which is going to be today's speed round. Can I do the Sun in 3 minutes? I think so. So here we go. Hey Google, set timer for 3 minutes. Is it going to do it? Hey Google, set timer for 3 minutes.
Sure, 3 minutes.
All right, here we go. Front page of the Sun, top right-hand corner. It's a 4-day holiday for the Queen's Jubilee next year. It's her Platinum Jubilee. They're still trying to get you to go to Thorpe Park. Suspicious of that one. They report on the England win over Austria, 1-0, Saka the net. And the main story is just an excuse for them to go on about how Britons love beer. Inside the paper on page 3, that isn't page 3, but is page 3, Monica Jessica Gomez tests the water while hoping to take the plunge into motherhood. And bananas split. Peeled fruit, a double treat. A man has found a banana that's got 2 bananas inside it. There you go. Pages 4 and 5, Nation is warming up for brilliant summer. Hot shots is the headline on that. On page 7, Molly is dating Liverpool ace Nat. Liam girl cops off. Rocker Liam Gallagher's daughter Molly Moorish is dating Liverpool footballer Nat Phillips. Alan Partridge shrug. Move on. Pages 8 and 9, Platinum Jew Big Lee is the way they talk about the 4-day bank holiday for the Queen's thing. My ex Ronnie back to his best. Joe's cancer hope. Rolling Stones rocker Ronnie Wood is recovering well after fighting cancer for a second time. His ex-wife Jo has revealed. Katy Perry is on the front of L'Officiel, the French magazine, and she says she's unconditionally in love with her fiance Orlando Bloom. On page 13, someone in a T-Rex outfit was messing about on the beach in Devon. On the bottom of that page, glitter-free in months, victims fury at jail move. On pages 14 and 15, stop your Insta grabbing. More stuff on Instagram influencers who do dodgy ads. Rod Liddle is awful. Let's just leave it at that. Ricky Gervais has campaigned against a rabbit meat farm. On page 19, Holby has been cancelled. On page 23, BBC in Tower Block sneer. Exec calls Olympic 2012 base a dump. Okay. Mum's tribute to gang victim. Devastated mum has paid tribute to her Have a Go hero son who was beaten to death by a gang. Jesus Christ. They, of course, cover the Shed of the Year competition. Speed Eater Max Stanford has eaten 100 fish fingers in just under 15 minutes. He's 33, and it was a 4,300 calorie belly buster to mark tomorrow's National Fish and Chips Day. Fish fingers are not part of fish and chips. Come on. Pages 28 and 29. Lusty lovers are unlocking their fantasies, but is it a good idea? Yeah, probably. Someone bedded her mate's boyfriend. Another person regrets having sex with their hot boss. Someone else got drunk and had a one-night fling, and another pair had a threesome, but their rules went out of the window. Good rule when you're having a threesome is don't jump out of the window.
Never shit on your own doorstep.
Never shit on your own doorstep, that too. Damn it. Okay. Couldn't do 3 minutes. Let's see if we can get this done in another minute. Joey Essex, Grief and Me is recommended in today's TV recommendations. In Fab Daily, I was a geeky kid, so being sexy telly doc is just the tonic, says Raj Singh. Forget bobs and crops, longer locks are back, apparently. In the motoring page, they review the new VW Golf. The £50 letter today is, it's amazing the UK had 0 COVID deaths on June 1st, says Max Patrick of Southampton. Oh, whatever. There's an ad for the mattress guy. There's an ad for some flowers. And on the back page, Trent Euro scare. Southgate blowers 3 Lions kid limps off. I say that was about 3 minutes 30, which is, you know, a new PB, but we can do better. Why is the Sun obsessed with the situation in people's bedrooms? Because the Sun, it's a classic Sun move, this. They are both censorious and weird about stuff, but also very lascivious. Same thing the Daily Mail does. Look at this appalling stuff on television that we freeze-framed and zoomed in on. Right. give me your scores for the Sun as we move on to the Times, and I will just do the roll call before we start on the Times. I'm, of course, the Broken Bottle Boy. You can follow me on Twitter at Broken Bottle Boy. I'm trying to increase the number of paid subscribers to the newsletter this month. So if you have not checked it out, check out brokenbottleboy.substack.com. Subscribe for free, and if you like it, subscriptions start at a mere £5 a month, which gets you the normal 7 editions a week plus extras. In the mod squad today is SK the Crusader. He has the YouTube zone tonight, so do send him your YouTube atrocities for him to watch. In the chat today, Academy Impossible, thanks for joining us. Aiton, Carbot14XYZ, always silent but deadly. Commander Root, Discord for streamers, Discount Goats, making a good debut appearance in the chat. Everybody loves Raymondo, Industrial Pet, the excellent Industrial Pet, the ever excellent Chronotherm, and the thoroughly disturbed and equally excellent Mark Kenosis. Mia Vala's here. Hot Mog Shed. Red Tick Seed. The excellent Red Tick Seed. Sad Girl. Slinkermeyer's here. As I've been saying a lot recently, do check out her photography. It's fantastic. And more people should see it. Shankly07 is here. A big salute to Shankly07. Snur. Studying Fangirl. Cider Streams. Yuan. The Fishmeister General Yuan. And of course the excellent Zoe Brings Bacon. Shankly07 says the rating for the Sun is as many -69s as possible. Or it's a rancid rag. Mark Kenosis says minus 4,000 calories worth of fish fingers. Slinkermeyer gives it the double negative. Nice. And Zoe Brings Bacon gives it minus 69 slices of bacon. Well, yes, Instagram is wrong. Instagram is wrong, and I'm glad the shout-outs make a difference. Right, so on to the Times. Front page of the Times. Ben and Marina Fogel says, our guide to angry parenting. Oh, fuck off. Deborah Ross says, I am a brave woman. I flaunt my bulgy bits. Again, this will be weird. Top of the page story is actually a good piece, a solid piece of work and journalism. Dirty Secret gives lobbyists access to Heart of Westminster. The situation here is that all party parliamentary groups, which are basically pressure groups within Parliament made up of MPs with a shared interest. So you might have, the COVID recovery all-party parliamentary group, or the support the Kurds, or the Saudi all-party parliamentary group, or whatever. They can vary from being pretty good to being deeply sinister, but what they are very often used for right now is for lobbyists to get access to Parliament through supporting an APPG. Anyway, it's a good piece of reporting from George Greenwood, Oliver Wright, and Emma Yeomans on how that is being exploited. There are currently 700 active APPGs, a rise of 40% in the last 5 years, and their Times analysis found that lobbyists providing administrative support for 24 APPGs do not declare on the parliamentary register who is funding their work. A further 16 APPGs list lobbyists as their official point of contact, but do not declare on the register whether any third party is paying them for this. The rules do not require them to do so. The other main story here is, of course, you failed a generation of children, Johnson told. This is the resignation. That too. This is the resignation of Sir Kevin Collins, who had recommended a £15 billion recovery package for education, and the government said we'll do less than 10% of that. There is a ridiculous picture of Risky Sunak there, doing an obstacle course at the Army's Infantry Training Centre and wearing a special little custom shirt with his name on it. On page 3, we can't let Venice sink like a stone. This is the story where Mick Jagger and Tilda Swinton and others have written an open letter to the President of Italy calling for Venice to be granted special status. On the bottom of that page 3, Goya, Goya gone, but miscredited painting is still a marvel. First, the bad news. The British Gallery's portrait of a stern woman with closed palms, one thought to be by Francisco Goya, has been found to be the work of a more obscure artist. Gronatherm on that Sunak story says that he didn't know that the army did child sizes. On page 4, Army's new tanks make crew ill and can't fire shells on the move. A £5.5 billion programme to deliver 589 light tanks to the Army appears to be unachievable, leaked government report discloses. Projects facing major issues that limit the amount of time the crew can spend in the vehicle, the paper says. Document by the Infrastructure and Projects Authority, which reports the Cabinet Office, says that problems with the Ajax vehicle do not seem to be manageable or resolvable within the agreed cost and timescale. As it stands, the crew testing the vehicle is operating under stringent limitations of use, which means that members' time inside is limited to 90 minutes and the tanks cannot exceed 20 miles per hour. Once again, British military procurement is a shit show. This is like when the SA-80 couldn't be used where there was sand, while we were persisting in fighting a number of Middle Eastern wars. Page 5 of the Times, Palace had 1960s ban on black workers. That's them following up on the Guardian story yesterday. On pages 6 and 7, Downing Street must take the blame, say critics as education czar quits. On page 8, passengers face 4-hour waits as airports limp back to business. Uncontrollable variant forces Melbourne to extend lockdown. Scientists find formula to make human milk outside the breast. The world's first milk from human mammary cells has been successfully made outside the breast by a US startup as part of its efforts to create a healthier and more eco-friendly alternative to the global baby formula market. This will also appeal to, a very specific sort of creepy man as well. On the bottom of page 11, Wollstonecraft artist hits back at feminist critics. Also on that page, Stonewall takes on rival in trans row. Stonewall has backed transgender rights activists in a legal challenge to charitable status of a rival organisation. That organisation, of course, is the execrable LGB Alliance. Hey, Taya Wrights, how you doing? On pages 12 and 13, lobbyists stroll straight into corridors of power. They look at a number of lobbyists who have got free passes into Parliament, who include Facebook's Vice President for Europe, Nicola Mendelsohn. She has a pass thanks to her husband, the Labour peer, Lord Mendelsohn. She's also a non-executive director of Diageo and campaigns for several charities. Flora Coleman, head of government relations at Wise, the fintech company formerly known as TransferWise, has a pass because she's married to the pensions minister, Guy Opperman. She spent 3 years as a government advisor. Ivor Kaplan, a former Labour MP for Hove and a defence minister who now runs a consultancy, has used his parliamentary pass 48 times, according to figures released last year. Former chairman of the Jewish Labour movement, he said that much of that use related to dealing with the party's anti-Semitism crisis. Michael Duggar, the chief executive of the Betting and Gaming Council, which represents the gambling industry, has a pass as a former MP. He serves as shadow transport secretary and shadow culture secretary and later spent 2 years as head of UK Music. Duggar was chief political spokesman for Gordon Brown in Number 10 and was a special advisor in the Blair years. Chris Leslie, this is a collection of ghouls. Head of the Credit Services Association, which represents debt collectors and the purchase industry, was a Labour MP between 1997 and 2005 and again between 2010 and 2019, served in the Cabinet Office and as local government minister. Leslie quit the party during Jeremy Corbyn's leadership and was one of 7 MPs to form the Independent Group, a party later renamed Change UK. Andrew Clark, husband of Labour MP Farrell Clark, is the director of a consultancy called Canda. He had a pass but returned it last July. He was previously a senior officer of the Labour Party, and his company website said that he developed extensive political contacts, serving as key liaison between the Labour Party leadership, MPs and London local government. Nicholas Gash, who is married to Labour MP Ruth Cadbury, is a freelance lobbyist providing policy and public affairs advice according to her register of interest. And Emma Scully, the ex-wife of the business minister Paul Scully, had a pass until 2018. She's secretary and finance directory for the Nudge Factory. A lobbying firm. Yes, the purchase industry. Piss Leslie, indeed, SK the Crusader. LGB Alliance needs to get in the fucking C. Sislink might agree. Yuan, Change UK is not nearly enough of a national laughing stock, in my opinion. No, we should regularly roll out that Nando's photo just to remind us about how bad they are. Anyway, yeah, the lobbying stuff is interesting, right? MP groups paid for by benefactors in the background. This is good, solid journalism saying, look, these are people who've got passes in ways that is dubious at best, and they are misusing that privilege, or potentially misusing that privilege. Gwyneth Curry who decided to reveal her affair with John Major, partly because she felt the PM had distanced himself from the failings of his licentious government. It was his decision to talk back to basics and family values, she said on the All Talk podcast. You load of bloody hypocrites, she said to her old colleagues. You may believe in family values so much that you have more than one family. Curry also found that the rhetoric went down very poorly when she campaigned in Milton Keynes. Residents told her that it made them feel like lesser citizens. We're all on our second marriages, one of them exclaimed. That's why we live in Milton Keynes. Right, okay. Musk charges into the restaurant industry. He is making a 50-style company-themed restaurant to operate alongside the charging stations of Tesla. Yeah, so they're making Tesla restaurants. Jesus Christ. That Milton Keynes line is funny. Ashcroft's son's partner faces drug inquiry. The girlfriend of Lord Ashcroft's son may face a drugs charge in addition to manslaughter, a police chief has said. Jasmine Hartin is fighting to be released on bail from one of the world's most notorious prisons after a policeman friend was shot dead while the pair watched the moon together from a waterside pier. Police said that a small amount of controlled drugs was found during their investigation, and further charge may be brought on top of the manslaughter by negligence. Mark Gnosis, who had Elon Musk buys a little shelf on their 2021 business card. On the front of the Times 2, the controversial TV star taking on the French elite, how a Tunisian-born Muslim broadcaster became a thorn in the side of the bien-pensant. In the comment pages, David Aronovich is awful. Or elsewhere in the comment pages, James Marriott says academic intelligence is absurdly overrated. This is the kind of overvalued, this is the kind of thing someone who went to Oxford would say. Ian Martin is awful. Janice Turner is awful. In the birthdays today, Jill Biden is 70. Wasim Akram, the cricketer for Pakistan until 2002, is 55. Sir Peter Bonfield, chief executive of BT until 2002, is 77. The Right Reverend Tom Burns, the Roman Catholic Bishop of Menevia, is 77. Raul Castro, first secretary of the Communist Party of Cuba until 2021 and president of Cuba until 2018, is 90. Brian Clark, the playwright and TV writer whose life is it anyway, 1972, is 89. Laura Clark, UK High Commissioner to New Zealand, is 43. Susanna Constantine, the fashion writer and broadcaster, is 59. Jonathan Janangoli, the Conservative MP for Huntington and Justice Minister until 2012, is 56. David Evenant, Conservative MP for Bexley Heath, is 72. Sir Simon Fraser, head of the Diplomatic Service and Permanent Undersecretary of the Foreign and Commonwealth Office till 2015, is 63. Julie Gayet, the actress and partner of Francois Hollande, the former president of France, is 49. Merrill Halls, managing director of the Booksellers Association, is 56. Ivan Harbour, the architect, is 59. Anita Harris, the singer, is 79. Hale Irwin, the golfer, is 76. Kelly Jones, the singer-songwriter in Stereophonics, is 47. Harriet Lamb, chief executive of Ashton Sustainable Energy Charity, is 60. Rear Admiral Roger Lane Knott, commander of HMS Splendid during the Falklands, is 76. Christopher Malkin, athlete, head coach of the British Athletics Olympic Programme, 42. Clive Mantle, the actor from Casualty in Holby City, is 64. Rafael Nadal, the tennis player, is 35. Canon Prof. Nicholas Orme, the historian, is 80. Dame Sue Owen, the chairwoman of the Royal Ballet Companies, is 66. Bill Patterson, the actor, is 76. Imogen Poots, the actress, is 32. James Purefy, the actor, is 57. Susie Quattro is 71. Denise Williams. Why did I say Denise? Denise, it's spelled D-E. Niece. Denise Williams, singer, is 71. What's that? Denice. Dame Penelope Wilton is 75. On this day in 1949, Wesley Anthony Brown became the first African American to graduate from the U.S. Naval Academy. And the last word today goes to Edward Abbey, the American writer and environmental advocate, from his book, The Journey Home. The idea of wilderness, it needs no defense. It only needs more defenders. This is just really disturbing letter from Nigel Webb of Appledore in Kent, who says, Sir, on reading of the pleasure Ed Morris got when he heard his dead mother telling him to get up, this is the alarm clock that had that in message, I was reminded of the surprise I got from a bottle of whiskey I found in my uncle's house while clearing his effects. As I raised the glass to him and tasted it, I realized the contents had been replaced by something very unpleasant of the same colour. God knows what. I suspect he'd seen this moment coming and shared a laugh. Cheers, Uncle Ron. Uncle Ron pissed in the whiskey bottle. Yuan says it was cum. Brown cum. Brown watery cum. Mark Kenosis says, food barbecued over a burning Tesla. Mark Kenosis, happy birthday, Kelly Jones. People try to say the Stereophonics' first album is actually good, but they're wrong. But at least you made Wayne Rooney happy. On page 27, killer drones used AI to hunt down enemy fighters in Libya. An advanced drone system used in Libya's civil war without an operator hunted down targets in what may have been the first instance of artificial intelligence being deployed to choose targets to kill. I'm suspicious about this. I'm always suspicious about this kind of reporting. A UN report revealed that Turkish drones fitted with artificial intelligence, including facial recognition technology, were deployed last year by the army of Libya's government of national accord in Tripoli. The GNA was trying to drive troops loyal to the rebel Marshal Khalifa Haftar out of the city. After Haftar's armed forces tried to retreat, the GNA, which is backed by Turkey, sent drones to harry them. They were able to continue operating after flying out of their controller's range. Logistic convoys and retreating HAF were subsequently hunted down or remotely engaged by the unmanned combat aerial vehicles or lethal autonomous weapon systems such as the STM Cargo-2 and other loitering munitions, the report said. Yeah, I'm very suspicious about this. The extent to which AI was used, I've reported on this stuff before, and I don't believe this. Wait, is Turkey on the side of the guy who was videoed eating the heart of his enemy, or is that the other guy? Turkey's on the side of... Turkey's on the side of the Libyan government. So I don't know. Was Haftar the enemy heart eater? Who knows? A ferry firm in Martha's Vineyard in the US has been a victim of a ransomware attack. Which Libyan government? Well, in this case, Libyan government of national accord, the GNA. Yeah, you are right. Of course, there are three, but in the case of this story, the GNA. This is covered a little bit in the newsletter today. There's this story: teen fights bear to save dogs from grisly end. My argument is actually mother bear defended her cubs against dogs and then was attacked by a teenager. Anyway, read the newsletter. I make it into a metaphor. There's a report from Austria that an Austrian student who was attacked and insulted as a Jewish slut and a child murderer. Police told her she had been acting provocatively for reading a history book about Jews. Jesus Christ, Austria is a shithole. The 19-year-old woman was reading The Jew in the Modern World by Paul Mendes-Fleur and Jehuda Reinhardt for a Jewish studies course when she was attacked on the Vienna underground system by three men who pulled her hair. I was able to free myself and ran out, she told the public broadcaster. She approached two police officers on the street in an apparent reference to the recent violence between Palestinians and Israelis. They asked her, why do you have to read such a book now in this conflict situation? The student said the officer suggests the attack could not be anti-Semitic because she was not Jewish. Okay. Austria is fucking awful. Yeah. I'm definitely pro-bear. Yeah, she just pushed the bear off the wall. Austria is fucking awful, not just because you can't pay by card anywhere. Yeah. heavy amount of anti-Semitism in Austria. Bloomsbury cashes in on lockdown reading revival. Remember, Bloomsbury also published Person in the Room's book, which is good and still available. Buy copies of that. Turned On, Science, Sex and Robots. Available from all good and probably many bad booksellers too. Oh, here it is. Here's a copy of the book coming into shop. Incredible how quickly she moves when there's a plug for her own book. Okay, here is an extremely sinister advert for you. The 50th anniversary of Decimalization Bear, a special limited edition celebrating 50 years of decimalization in the UK. The bear is called, I shit you not, by someone who clearly isn't familiar with Stephen King's work, Pennywise. Pennywise the bear. What are your question marks on Red Tick Seed, the Person in the Room's book? Yeah, it's a really nice cover, that golden white cover. Sorry, Chronotherm, sorry, was that Turned On, Science, Sex and Robots? Yes, that is correct. It is a book about sex tech and specifically looks at also the potential of sex robots. It's a really good book, and I'm in it. Quoted, not just thanked. Mark Gnossi, you send a bear around to knock the pre-decimal currency out of people's hands. Yeah, the bear is sinister. The bear will cost you 5 installments of £45 for a total price of £225. Who are buying these bears? No bears. In the obits, Larry McMurtry, novelist, screenwriter, and chronicler of the Wild West, who became known for The Last Picture Show and Brokeback Mountain. He has died aged 84. Also, Major Kenneth Mayhew, tall and athletic veteran of the D-Day landings on Sword Beach, whose carriers gave crucial covering fire to the infantry. He's died aged 104. And Gianluigi Colalucci, art historian whose restoration of the Sistine Chapel showed Michelangelo to be more of a vivid colorist than previously thought. In the legal news, the Home Office is wrong over visas. Interesting how the Times has shoved a story like that on page 51. They're trying to get you to go on a cruise. They're trying to get you to buy ugly, horrible food. Bradley Wiggins wants to become a doctor, apparently. Grealish and Saka impress, but Trent blow spoils mood is Henry Winter's analysis of England 1, Austria 0 last night. And on the back page, the headline is Trent's injury agony. Give me your scores for the Times. For me, it's a single minus 69 plus 2 for some good animal news. So, yeah, a minus 67. Mark Kenosis makes a statement here I'll test on the person in the room. Any robot can be a sex robot if you're brave enough.
That is very true.
There you go. Expert opinion there. Mark Hanosis says, minus 25 missing children whose souls are trapped by Pennywise the Bear. It's a classic negative nice from Slinker Maya and a triple negative nice from Red Tickseed. And now we move on to our final paper of the day. It is the Daily Mail. Chronotherm experts agree you can fuck the vacuum cleaner. You can. You're probably going to do yourself an injury, though. Right, so here's the Daily Mail, front page of the Daily Mail. This is not justice, fury of family in Ashcroft gun death drama. How likely is your trip abroad? Essential guide. And Nepal variant threat to our holidays. Speak for yourselves. Page 3, they fill with the Shed of the Year competition. On page 2, Netanyahu's rivals strike deal to oust Israel's PM. In corrections and clarifications, the Daily Mail writes, an article on May 15th said that following the sentencing of former newspaper baron Conrad Black in 2007, ultimately all charges were vacated by the US Supreme Court. We are happy to clarify that while the Court of Appeal's original judgment was vacated by the Supreme Court in 2010 and remanded back for consideration, and while 2 fraud charges were subsequently reversed by the Court of Appeals, 1 remaining fraud charge and an obstruction of justice charge were affirmed and remained until his presidential pardon in 2019. Essentially, they're saying, we apologise for saying Comrade Black was not a crook. He's definitely a crook. WHO not aware of any Nepal variant. Yes. Industrial Pet says people have lost body parts trying to fuck vacuum cleaners. Would not recommend. We are not a pro vacuum cleaner fucking stream. On pages 4 and 5, 4 days of Jubilee joy. Look at how ropey the graphics work is on that page. Moving on, let's not scamper down a oh, by the way, notice as well that underneath all this 4 days of bank holiday and everything, they cover the fact that the royal family banned immigrants and ethnic minorities from jobs for decades. Just in a tiny panel at the bottom of page 5. On page... No, it's not that I'm anti-degeneracy, Taylor, right? So I'm anti-people getting their cocks ripped off by vacuum cleaners. It's just, you know... if you want to... on pages 6 and 7, let's not scamper down a rabbit hole of variants, is how the Daily Mail phrases this. Or... human homunculus... melted face monster Andrew Lloyd Webber is threatening to sue if he doesn't get to open his theatres when he expects. On pages 10 and 11, I quit. Education czar resigns over 1.4 billion plan to help pupils after he asked for 15 billion. There's a picture of Boris Johnson answering school children's questions at number 10. Jab Fab News, 3 and 4 adults will receive their first dose. On page 13, now BBC make Holby a casualty. On the bottom of that page, women being pressured to have contraceptive implant. Women are being pressured into having contraceptive implants and coils because doctors do not trust them to take the pill, report reveals. I'm not sure this is new news. I keep hearing people... I've heard... loads of friends of mine have said that they've been pressured. It's... I'm sure people in the chat have similar. Sycamore says someone needs to make a vacuum cleaner fucker flag. Gender pay.
Vacuum cleaner dresses a poppy.
Yeah. One vacuum fucked poppy equals 1 respect. Gender pay gap. Male students expect to earn more. Men don't just get paid higher wages than women. They expect to earn more from a young age. Yes, it's called the patriarchy. Have a look it up. On pages 14 and 15, on the island where his son's partner is charged with shooting dead a police chief, billionaire Lord Ashcroft paid for police gym and a facility at her jail. Her lawyer is the ex-attorney general, whose wife is the parliament speaker. Now, as the case could be resolved with just a fine, victim's family claim this is not justice. Shock news, as it turns out that Belize is corrupt. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Stephen Glover, the most zombie-looking columnist in the British press, says this plan to ban smoking outside leaves me fuming, and I'm not even a regular puffer. He's a regular prick, though. On page 17, why good gardeners tie a knot in it. Worried your lawn can't stand the heat? In fact, letting it go brown won't harm it a bit, says an expert. Right. Industrial Pet says they didn't want me going back on the pill because my BPD impacted my executive function quite badly. All right, okay. But I think, I hear more and more people saying that their doctors try and force them to get the implant, even when they say, look, this is really bad for me for any number of reasons. Turns out the the health system is pretty sexist. On page 19, NHS records may be shared with secretive US tech giant. Oh, good. Hey, does anyone remember when Jeremy Corbyn suggested that stuff like this was happening and most of the British media just went mad and said it was just Reddit rumours? Yeah. On page 21, Britt Eklund has said that she regrets getting lip fillers because it ruined her face. She was a very beautiful woman when she was younger, but she's also just aged, because we all do. Now police say murder of boy could have been race attack. I don't think there are any. I think the question of it being not being that is, anyway. On page 22, the Ministry of Defence accidentally managed to name a number of members of secret regiments by publishing a list. Page 27, KFC's got some free publicity by saying it will support the Daily Mail's Great British Spring Clean campaign. On pages 28 and 29, they write about Barney Curley, who died at age 81 recently. They call him the scourge of the bookmakers, who was behind racing's most outrageous sting. Today is June 3rd, 2021, but on this day, on June 3rd, 1943, the Daily Mail wrote, 17 people are believed to have lost their lives when a British airliner was shot down by enemy aircraft over the Bay of Biscay on Tuesday. They included Gone with the Wind star Leslie Howard, 3 children and 3 women. The children and the women, having been unfortunately on the same plane as Leslie Howard, don't get their names written down. June 3rd, 1953, the Daily Mail wrote, "The Queen is crowned in our history and enthroned in our hearts," said the Prime Minister from number 10 Downing Street last night. "We have had," he said, "a day which the oldest are proud to have lived to see and which the youngest will remember all their lives." Happy birthday to Imogen Poots, 32. The actress from London was cast in the horror film 28 Weeks Later at just 17. And last year starred with Anthony Hopkins in The Father. After her friend, Star Trek actor Anton Yelchin died, she had his initials tattooed on her fingers. Rafael Nadal is 35. Spanish tennis star has won Wimbledon twice and has been dubbed the King of Clay. Born on this day in 1942, the incredible Curtis Mayfield, US singer, soul singer, who had hits with People Get Ready, Move On Up, amongst many, many others. On a 1987 visit to Britain, the father of 10 recorded Celebrate the Day After You with the Blow Monkeys, which is seen as a political attack on Margaret Thatcher and banned by the BBC. Well, fuck them. Larry McMurphy, the Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist, saw his books The Last Picture Show and Terms of Endearment made into films and won an Oscar for his Brokeback Mountain screenplay adaptation. It would have been his birthday today if he had not died earlier this year. And on June 3rd in 1924, Franz Kafka died age 40. June 3rd, 1968, American radical artist Valerie Solanas shot Andy Warhol, who was hospitalized and had to wear a surgical corset for the rest of his life. Quote of the day comes from John Quincy Adams, the 6th President of the United States, who said, "My toast would be, may our country be always successful, but whether successful or otherwise, always right." Well, that turned out well, didn't it? And the joke of the day is, where do you learn to make banana splits? A Sunday school. Yeah, terror rights. I mean, it's clearly a racist attack, of course. Terror rights says they were literally shouting slurs at him. Like the kid was 14 and these men were in their 30s or something. Shit has me feeling a lot. Yeah, I know. It's horrendous. And the thing is, just wait, the Daily Mail will get around to campaigning about it, but and try and make it about them, while now it's shoving that story late in the book and not even really bothering with it. It's in a similar way to how it treated the Stephen Lawrence killing, and they make a big deal about their campaigning about that, but they campaigned on Stephen Lawrence because Stephen Lawrence's father had done some decorating work for Paul Dacre and therefore was deemed respectable. Yeah. Well, I'm. If you let me keep going, I'm nearly done. In the female magazine, Poppy had a fashion line at 26, a TV career and A-list housemate. But like many, she was crippled by imposter syndrome. Okay, fine. Various dresses they recommend. Various dinners. The baby paying the price of a cultural tradition. It's estimated that more than half of Pakistani heritage couples in Britain are in cousin marriages. Oh, Jesus. TV recommendation of the day is Joey Essex, Grief and Me, BBC One, 9 p.m. TV reviews, Building Britain's biggest nuclear power station gets 2 stars. Anne Boleyn got 1 star. Coins! UEFA Euro 2020 pure gold coin, £39. In the cartoons, Chloe and Co. Chloe's drinking and talking to a man. Fred Bassett is having a nice lay down, and Garfield is looking at a ball of string. In the straight to the point letters, actually nothing good apart. Nick Wotton, who turns up quite a lot, says Heinz may be making ketchup in Britain again, but it's still a US brand. The iconic British sauce HP still languishes in the Netherlands. Today's recipe is jerk chicken and pineapple tray bake. A lot of tray bakes in here. They try and sell you some knitwear, ugly knitwear, an ugly watch. Now you can wear a millionaire's watch for under £150. How do they steal them from these? The iconic British sauce is Daddy, says Mark Canosis. And in the sport, Robinson in racism storm. ECB to probe old tweets as bowler's debut turns sour. Conte in frame for Spurs job. And after all that is Trent out. Give me your scores for the Daily Mail as we bring this episode to a close just in time for the person in the room to do her meeting. Red Tick Seed in with the very gross line. The iconic British sauce is come. Okay, tomorrow will be a magazine special. If you have a magazine you want me to do, throw some coins into the newspaper fund. Tell me what that magazine should be, and do it before 2:30 this afternoon, and your magazine will be done. Slinkermeyer in with quadruple negative nice. Mark Canosis in with minus 57 varieties of the iconic British sauce. Brackets come. Okay, and Red Tick Seed in with minus 420, 69, 69, 69. Thank you very much for joining me today. I will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. for the Friday show with the magazine special. As ever, do consider checking out the newsletter, and if you are not subscribed, subscribe, and if you are subscribed and not a paid subscriber, consider upgrading. And the very final thing here is the link to the server. Join us on the server. Talk shit with us. It is good. Have a good day, all. Thanks, Yuan. Thank you, Zoe Brings Bacon. Thank you, Slinker. Do have a great afternoon. Find me on Twitter if you need me for any reason. Bye-bye.